All right, everybody, welcome back to Conversations in Pastimes. It's a working title, so bear with us. But as again, I got my boy Jay Hayes with me, and just wanted to have a couple conversations with you today, brother. Um, so we were just talking about movies and songs that were inappropriate to us as children, but we didn't know. And once you got older, you kind of figured some stuff out, right?
Right, right.
All right, so I'm gonna start it out because I've been waiting to explore this with you. Check
Okay.
this out. So this is a very much beloved song. I believe I can say for the both of us because it's a timeless song, and I feel like whether I was a teenager when he was coming up, or even if I'm a teenager now, I think this still holds weight. So I just want you to hear this one part though, and then I want
Okay.
to explain something to you.
All right.
All right. So what what do you think may or may not be inappropriate about that song, Mr. Hayes?
So
You tell me what you heard, and I'm gonna tell you. I'll fill in the blanks.
saying down by the river on a Friday night, a pyramid of cans in the pale moonlight, talking about cars and dreaming about women, never just a plan. No, I said never a plan, just living for the minute. So summertime, a lot of underage drinking,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of it's you know, it's textbook, it's generational, it's things that happen in small towns with small town teenagers,
Yes, sir.
especially especially around the time of your junior year. Really, like if you're hanging out with older kids, then you could be a freshman in high school, but
Right.
it's just that time of like bonfire parties, going down to the river, going down to the creek, swimming, just like all these secluded hideout spots to where you would go and drink the beer that you acquired somehow illegally. And then you're looking at the different little girls running around, you're talking to them, and it's just hormones are raging.
Right.
And then you ain't got a clue what you're gonna do after graduation. You don't know what you're gonna do. A lot of times options are limited.
Yeah.
Uh, and then you're afraid of what's going on, so you don't even want to plan. You just want to be right there in the now.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that he said in that, like that verse area that still speaks volume today. It spoke volumes then in the '90s when he wrote that song, but he was remembering that when he was a kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then that kind of stuff just continued to go. Um, and I mean that's what I got out of it.
All right, so you went a little broader than I thought you was gonna go, but you're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. But what I wanted you to focus on was we fogged up the windows in my old Chevy. I was willing, she wasn't ready.
Yeah.
So I settled for a burger and a grape snow cone. Dropped her off early, but I didn't go home. But I think you might have heard something wrong there, sir.
So he basically was like, okay, well, we done had this hot makeout session right now in the back seat of this car, and she ain't putting out. So I'm gonna go take her off, take her back to the house. I'm gonna go find somebody that will.
Yes and no.
Okay, all right. So now you got
All right, so
me.
according to Urban Dictionary, and I didn't get it originally from Urban Dictionary, I just wanted to go look it up for myself. But I actually heard from a breakdown of that song from another podcast, but I've heard it from a couple different places, so I don't know who to give credit to, so I'm just going to leave it out. But either way, the words grape snow cone, and burger. 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 Come on.
So you got a blowjob?
Bingo. 69, sir. Settle for a burger and a grape snow cone.
Man, no. Bruh,
Boom! Blew your mind, didn't it?
mind blown. Like I am at a loss for words here.
But when you think about it, it's like, wait a minute. Hold
I
up.
thought he took it like the Sonic or something, got a Route 44 and a Supersonic burger and then went on to the next one.
that has not been verified, but I could definitely see how it could be a thing.
Okay.
I mean, nowadays they use the emoji eggplant, but I'm at the eggplant emoji. Look at that, talking backwards. Yeah. But I can definitely see it.
Yeah.
I mean, you heard of a couple vulgar terms, you know, purple-headed yoga slinger.
Mm-hmm.
I had another one right at the top of my head.
One-eyed monster.
Yeah, but I'm thinking about purple. That there's a couple analogies that like legit say purple, so that's why I'm thinking grape snow cone. Anyway,
With a hard on.
I don't want you to hurt your brain too much.
Yeah, yeah. It's pretty much just you shake my head around right now. You hear just like a peanut in there rapping, like there's nothing up here right now.
Another song that was always inappropriate, and I really I heard the lyrics before, but I never really listened to the lyrics because a lot of the songs that we hear, from whether it was back in the 90s or back in our parents' day, or even now they just come out and say it for the most part. But back in the 90s, back in the 80s, the 70s, they would always kind of talk around what they was actually saying. But this song pretty much said what it needed to say, but it was the beat. You rock to the beat and you don't pay the words no attention. So the song is Too Close by Next.
I don't remember that one.
Oh, my boy. My boy. It's basically talking about house parties. What happens when you go to a house party? Or even if you want to go into we can even put it in the club environment. But either way, when you go, you get on the dance floor, you dance with some chick. What's she doing? She rubbing her butt up all on you. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you were younger, you start getting excited. And it's like, hey, wait up. You dancing too close. Literally what the song is talking about is about this dude dancing with a chick and getting a hard on. Because remember, he says, ooh, I know you felt it. Girl, you know I can't help it.
That's right. Feel a little poke coming through. Oh, you. Gotcha. I couldn't think. See? Girl, you know you're right. I get so excited.
Don't act like that. Got me all excited. I mean, girl, you stop. You knew what was happening. Turn back around. Don't stare at me. Making it awkward.
Turning dudes into Mike Tyson real quick.
Hey. So that song, like I said, I've heard the lyrics all day for years and never really listened to them. And I was at work one day and the song came on. I'm like, he got a hard on. He got a hard on. Hey, lady, quit tripping. Relax. You have done your job.
Yep, you did your job. Mission accomplished. Now what you gonna do about it?
Right. Like
You
nothing.
know.
Try to make him leak through these jeans, and I'm gonna go home. That's
Mhm.
what's about to happen.
And tell everybody about it at school on Monday.
Right.
So yeah, so that's another one. You
Mhm.
know, there's so many innuendos and subliminal messages in songs. And I mean, it happens. You know, what's that one song? Who was it? Harry Styles, Watermelon Sugar.
Oh yeah. Tastes like
Yeah,
strawberries.
yeah.
For evening.
You know,
I want
he
your
ain't. Yeah, dude. He
ear.
ain't talking about eating no fruit by the foot or fruit roll-ups, bruh.
Right.
Like, like,
Talking about sharing his food. He's like, hey, come here.
yeah, you know, he ain't trying to eat no fruit snacks, no gushers or nothing. Hey, he trying to eat a real gusher.
Right.
You know, but that's just what they do. And then it's up to you to listen. That's why you really got to be careful too with what you listen to and just vibe to, because you could be liking the song and liking the beat, but you don't even know what you even talk like. You don't realize that you saying something that you probably don't want to be saying, or you
Right.
wouldn't say, if you knew what it was.
Right.
So that's something that's very, very, very um, common.
Yeah.
I I'm not gonna sit here and quote where I heard it from or quote if it's true or not, because this was years ago when I was just stumbling around on YouTube or something. I can't remember what it was, but it was talking about all the subliminal messages that Michael Jackson had in his songs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was rumors that he was talking about a woman during Dirty Diana,
Mm-hmm.
a famous woman. It was, and then that one song, Boogie. Blame it on the boogie. In the sunshine, blame
Oh,
it on
okay.
the moonlight,
Yeah.
blame it on the good time, blame it on the boogie. You
Yeah.
know. So when he was talking about that song, said that he was talking about um like the devil, like him being possessed on stage,
Oh, wow.
and it's like he loses all control, and what he's doing out there, like singing to the crowd and just having everybody in that moment having control over the whole crowd. That wasn't him. That was the devil that was in him. Um, he's
Never
this
heard that
one
one.
verse. He has one verse on there. He said, "This boogie's got a hold of me." So that song right there just made you kind of think about it. And you know how you have Beyonce, she talks
Oh,
about Sasha
wow.
Fierce, like she's,
Yeah.
she's got her alter, person. So it's, I mean,
That stuff right there, man, will lead you down a bad rabbit hole. And
you
if you don't believe it, it will make you think a lot.
you you will go down, and I ain't talking about a rabbit hole. You will go down a Alice in Wonderland type deal if you just really dig into that. Cancel your whole day.
Yeah.
Because you're not gonna have any productivity. You're just gonna be looking, 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 and trying to figure out more and more stuff on that. That's why I said, like, it was several years, dude. This maybe what is it, like 2023 now?
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think because it was like the next day after me and Mike had been partying. Um, whenever I was living in Louisiana and he was on the coast, and I was laying on the couch like the next day, like hungover, and then I was just scrolling through my phone, and then that came up. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of subliminal messages out there, and you really got to be careful nowadays too with what they're saying. When you're letting your kids listen to stuff and watch stuff,
Yeah.
But hey, we're kind of getting off topic with that. We're going back to nostalgia, remember when
It,
things.
it's cool. I mean, what I'm saying? Sometimes it goes that way. But I haven't heard that about Michael Jackson. I've seen several videos about Beyonce.
Yeah, yeah. Just look it up. It's on YouTube, or should Google it and see where that take you.
I don't
Um,
remember who it was, but I know they were talking about somebody, and like they had a popular song, and now where they weren't saying satanic lyrics in the song, there was a lot of satanic imagery around the song. So like it was like one of those, crunk type videos, like they shot in the hood. So you see them jumping around, da, 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 but you see like 3 or 4 people jump up and down. And they all got Baphomet on their shirts. Like, saying the goat head,
oh yeah, oh yeah.
the
That's the
devil symbol or whatever.
Yeah, the
So
goat man
they all
sitting
got
on.
the goat man, yeah. All of them got it. You just see them jumping up and down. So one of them will have him like throwing up the sign. One of them might
Mhm,
just have like some kind of little gate to hell type symbol on his shirt. But that
mhm.
it was all set around that. And I
That
was
must be something recent you saw.
uh,
Like within the last. That must be something you saw within the last couple of years.
yeah, yeah. Within well, it's been probably about 10 years since I saw that video.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I remember. Well, I mean, when I first started hearing about all that stuff, was in the last 5, 6 years.
Mm-mm.
When I started hearing about that kind of stuff right there. It's been like
I was
as
still
a
back home whenever I was hearing about that, and I've been out. Matter of fact, next year will make 10 years that I've been here.
wow, that's crazy.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
so
It's gonna make 3 years since I've been here. 3 years since I left my previous job. That's wild. Time's flying, man. It ain't waiting for nobody, bro.
it seemed like me and you were just having a phone call about you moving out this way.
Mm-hmm. Yo, shoot, it'll be 3 years in November.
That's
3 years in November. It's
that's
crazy. That is nuts, man. So what let's see. What are some other songs that you can think of that are talking about, like teenage hormones and subliminal messages?
uh, I can't even think of one right off the top of my head. That Alan Jackson one, like I said, I knew that was gonna mess you up because
I'm gonna tell my wife about that.
it messed
You
me
know,
up when I heard it, and I was like, okay.
I'm gonna tell my wife about that one because I bet she ain't ever heard of it. And then I bet she's going to burst out laughing too.
Hey
Like
man, because I
probably
mean, you think about
uncontrollable laughter.
he was like, oh, we just had this little makeout thing. Like, what we about to do? And she was like, nothing. He was like, all right, can I just get some snow cone and I give you a little hamburger and then we go home, all right? And then
Mhm.
after that, I'm going to hang out with the boys. Let's throw a couple back.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely a that's a believer right there. That can
Now,
happen.
the kidding thing about it now, when he says it in the video, they legit pan to him and you see him smile.
Hmm.
So there was another thing that was like, what you doing, Alan? What you doing?
But that was what you got to think about it though. They had to I mean, like either they really talked like that back then in code because they didn't have cell phones. They didn't have, they couldn't send a text message. They didn't have any computers where you send something. They had landlines, house phones, to where they probably had party lines back then, to where you get them old nosy old women that
Yeah.
like just listen to everybody else got going on. So if this kid right here, you know, let's just say, Clarence Jackson's kid from down the road, all right, little Alan, little innocent Alan who sings in church on Sunday, okay, all right, you
I
know, he's calling little Mary Sue, she's a little a little Girl Scout or something, and then her mama make her wear dresses every day. She's innocent, so he's got to call her and say something that's going to sound innocent. Let's go on down to the local drive-in place and go get us a burger and a snow cone.
Right.
And then
you got to think about it, bro. You don't think that they were throwing slang around back then?
I'm sure there was.
I mean,
And
you
yeah, your
think
burger
back?
and grape snow cone is slang.
I mean, you got to think back to, like you were saying, our parents' music. They didn't always come out and say, "I'm gonna stick it over here and I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this." It was like, "Let me feel your love all over me," or something like that, and you'd be like,
Mm-hmm.
"Okay, that's very sweet." And then you like, it's sticky and sweet. Wait a minute, hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Then you really got to start thinking about it at that point.
I heard a term. This was like years ago. Years ago, when I worked at a local grocery store, and a lot of the employees were either from our town or they were from a very, very rural town just east of us. And when kids sit out in the car and make out, they called it necking.
I've heard that term before.
And I said, I may have, just for fun of the conversation, I may have ruffled a few feathers. Um, but I was like, what kind of hillbilly backwoods term is necking? And the ladies, um, they were very red in the face with with shock that I even heard that they were sitting there gossiping at the cash register. But then for two, that I offended them by saying hillbilly backwood,
Right.
you know, county road, whatever y'all are from. The school bus don't even run down there. You gotta bring the kids up to the main road. You know, you know what I'm saying? The bus don't even go down there.
Mm-mm.
So, needless to say, I didn't work there very much long after that.
I don't know where that term came from, but I have heard it before.
Necking.
Naked.
I thought they said something else. That's really what my ears perked up.
Like,
Yeah. Y'all over here talking about these folks, and you go smile these folks in a few minutes. Uh-uh.
yeah,
you know?
naked.
So, yeah. So you want to talk about movies now?
Yeah, we can do that.
So let's go. Well, I know we talked earlier.
Yeah.
What about your thoughts on Forrest Gump?
Okay, so Forrest Gump, like I said, I believe I knew what the principal and the mama was doing. It was the point that didn't click for me until I was older was when Forrest was making fun of him. They always played Forrest like he was slow through the whole movie. So I thought that was just a reaction that he had. So I didn't think nothing of it.
Right.
And then it was, I went back and watched the movie later on in life. It was like, oh, okay. Okay. Now you told me about a scene where he jizzed in his pants, and I didn't pick up on that.
So yeah, so it was a scene in there to where Jenny had went on to college, and then all right, let me rewind this right here because the entire movie, like Forrest's life, it was great. He did a lot of things, accomplished a lot, but that didn't matter to him. His life sucked because he loved somebody that loved everybody, and
Right.
he did not realize it. But that was just, she was that way. There's a very good chance she was that way based off of her upbringing and how
Right.
she was as a child
Right.
and her past and child, experiences. So Forrest was always there for her, trying to protect her. I mean, it, the list goes on. But this one particular scene, he this whenever he was going to the University of Alabama and playing football for Bear Bryant, and he was, he was. I'm sorry, my phone started ringing. It's actually my boss, but he'll wait for right now. I called him. 4 hours ago.
Hey.
Yeah. So he actually went to her school to see her. And then she was hanging out with this other guy in the car with him, and they were making out. She was trying to tell him to stop. He probably was asking for a hamburger and grape snow cone. Who knows? Yeah. But then, he could tell that she was in trouble. He slings the door open in the rain and like commences to just beating the dude up. You're trying to protect her. She's hollering at him, for beating the dude up. So then she takes him into her dorm room. She sneaks him in there. It's raining. She wants him to change clothes and that. And then they have a moment to where she takes off of, her bra. And he's sitting on the bed like all awkward. And he's looking off to the side at her, and then she takes his hand and puts his hand, like on her chest. And then that's when it happens. So when I was a kid, seeing that, at 9, 10 years old, when this movie came out, I was like, okay, what happened? But then as I got older, I'm like, I know what happened. Aha. So that was another one. And then
So I remember that scene. Like, I remember that scene vividly. I just do not remember that part.
That part right there. And then she's like, it's okay, it's okay. And then the whole time her roommate was like awake. She's like laying in the bed, like trying to listen,
I need my redo. You got some more pants?
Yeah. I'm glad we got that first one out of the way. But yeah, so a lot of stuff like that happen in movies that, I mean, I'm sure there's countless other movies where things like that happen and nobody really knew what was what until you watched it and you realized what was what later on in life. The Lion King.
Mm-hmm.
That one, as I got older, the Lion King came out when we were like little kids. So, all we saw was like a cartoon with lions. And then probably one of the saddest moments in TV history, Disney history, was whenever, Mufasa died and Simba was like trying to tell him, Dad, get up, you know. But then all of that right there, all that stuff was stemmed around like family jealousy.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever you have a family that's either got money or that's in some sort of power, or whenever you have, two siblings, one is, well liked and the other one is the black sheep. There's a lot of jealousy, there's a lot of envy that gets brought in, especially, based off our conversation yesterday, if there's comparison to the kids.
Yes.
So
I was gonna say that does tie into two different things, because you were saying the biggest one is power. Scar wanted the power.
Yeah, he wanted juice.
Mufasa had it, and he thought that he was going to be the next to have it, and it didn't work out that way because Simba.
Yeah, but then you saw that Scar couldn't even. He couldn't even make a bird do right.
Right.
Mufasa, he had, just in like a hierarchy standpoint, he was able to just walk into a room and command respect and attention.
Mm-hmm. Uh-oh, froze up on me. All right, we had some technical difficulties. Jeremy decided to jump out, but it's all good. We back at it. So we were talking about the Lion King, and we were talking about saying Scar just having that power struggle because he wanted to be the man on top. And not only did he have to see his brother there, but he was gonna get surpassed by his nephew.
Right, right. So, what I gathered out of it, that's just a family, your family drama. And that happens, today with individuals, whether it be jealous that the parent, cares about one child more than the other, um, or jealous because their circumstances, whether it been by their situation, whether it been by choice or circumstance, has landed them in a way, and then their other sibling may be doing well just based off of their choices or their circumstances has put them another way. So then you get a lot of jealousy and rift. But then, as you saw, that once Scar did what he did and was able to have the power that he had over those years, you saw the destruction and the disparity of the area because he wasn't the leader that he needed to be.
Yeah.
Mufasa, he carried the weight of the people,
Mm-hmm.
and he, commanded respect. He was portrayed as the king. He was portrayed as a respected king, and someone that treated everybody fairly. And I mean, I found it odd that during that time, Scar didn't even hang out with his own.
Yeah.
He hung out with hyenas.
He was
You
exiled.
know, he hung out with. He was exiled, and he hung out with. You know, thieves and con artists
Yeah,
and liars. That's the image that the hyena portrayed to me
correct.
versus real life. And people that were just looking to get over and wreak as much havoc as
Mm-hmm.
they possibly could, only because they just felt like it.
Yeah.
Not, you know,
Bro, as we were sitting here talking about it, and I had to think about it. You know who Scar was?
who was that?
Scar was Gator from Jungle Fever.
Yes, absolutely,
You had to think about it.
absolutely. You gonna do a little dance? I had to think about it for a second, but
Yeah.
yes, that's exactly who it was him. Or the story in the Bible, Cain and Abel,
Yeah.
same exact thing. He took it back with a Gator from from the field. He did me something on that one. But I mean, you're 100% right. That was a perfect example. And then you had Simba on that other end living with the guilt and the depression of thinking that all of that was his fault because he was warned, he was told to not go down there, but he was disobedient.
Mm-hmm.
So that he had to deal with that. And then it took um, Rafiki to always be there, always watch him, always know where he's at. But then when the time came, once he became a man, it took him to mentor him and bring him back to where he needed to be mentally to
Mm-hmm.
go back home, to be able to hold his head up. And then when he came home, he saw that you had basically the prisoners running the asylum.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was dried up, burnt, despair, and you had a whole bunch of hyenas marching in step like a bunch of um I don't want to go too political with it, but you had them marching like Nazi Germany in the 40s. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're ready to take over everything.
And
So
it was the when you put it like that, you see the contrast between not just Mufasa and Scar, but Simba and Scar. Where
mhm,
Scar thought that he was going to be this great leader, he turned out not to be. He didn't have that
mhm,
instilled in him. He didn't have
mhm.
that. That
It
wasn't
wasn't
a
in.
part of his being. But then you had Simba, who had that in him the whole time,
Mhm,
but he was a boy and didn't quite understand that power yet. So
mhm,
he had to go away,
mhm,
a better person. And then once he came back, he was like, hold up. First off, this ain't the way this supposed to run. Second off, don't disrespect my mama, homie. It was like,
Exactly. His mom and I just say his mom and all his aunties.
yeah,
And all the ladies of the village. I'll just say that
yeah.
they were all there in despair, but then they were still respecting the role for some, like that was just, wouldn't you think that there would be some sort of revolt or uprising, but they just fell in line because they
Well,
were
they
because of
tried
the role.
they tried to retcon all that in the Lion King too, but it didn't work.
Yeah, yeah. After the first Lion King, I didn't I I had no interest. I didn't want to learn anymore. Like I
So
didn't want.
I watched all of them. I watched Lion King 1.5, which was actually good because they
Okay,
basically it was just telling the story of Lion King through the eyes of Timon and Pumbaa.
gotcha.
But Lion King 2, I want to go back and watch it, but from what I remember, it was trash because
Trash.
it was supposed to be where Scar had his own set of lions, but like I said in the beginning, he was exiled, so they were all exiled. They weren't a part of the main kingdom, which didn't
Mhm,
really make sense. But they were like his worshipers, and they was like, we gotta avenge him and all this. And I'm like, where did this come from? Because
mhm.
first one, the only people that he knew was the hyenas.
Right.
It
Like that's
wasn't
it.
like it wasn't like, hey, I'm gonna join with y'all so we can take care of my people, and then we'll all rise together. He was like, my power, my position, y'all under me.
Yep. And y'all run.
Exactly.
Run when I say run. Go do this when I say go do this. And I mean, I find such a strong correlation with like human society, like today, with that. And I think that, during that time, Disney did a very huge job. So as a child, I watched it and, it was entertainment. It was sad, you know, that's just what it was. The Disney movie come from the Disney vault where everybody had all them cassette tapes or VHS tapes rather.
Right.
But now, as I think about it as an adult, it's a whole lot more to it. So that's just coming off the curtails of what we've been talking about this entire time. It was stuff that we saw as as children that we didn't even know what was going on, or now we have a much greater understanding as to life and how things were and are. Pinocchio was one of them too for me. I remember watching that as a kid, just thinking about Pinocchio, Jimmy the Cricket, Mr. Geppetto, which like you know, his last name just raises eyebrows and ears nowadays. Uh, uh, you know, but that was one right there because I remember this one scene to where like they had rounded all the little boys up. They had rounded all of them up, and then they had them at like this amusement park, this theme park, right? And they just let them do whatever they wanted to do. They
Mm.
let them smoke, let them gamble, letting them party, all this right here is letting them do things that adults do. And then they allowed them to drink. But then when they started drinking, they turned into a bunch of little donkeys. And then whenever they were sorting them out and getting ready to put them on like the trucks and stuff, some of them could talk, some of them couldn't. But then they did something with the one, like they almost, they prized the ones that could talk, I think, more than they did the ones that just actually turned into donkeys.
Right.
So that right there, in like today's society, to me, that just gave me more of a sense of, current events, things that are happening now, such as, trafficking, things like that. And then, like I said, going back to Geppetto, I mean, his last name just doesn't that just make you want to think, like doesn't that just
Hmm.
make you think a little bit, you know?
Enlighten me, because I'm lost on this one.
Mr. Geppetto, bunch of little boys running around. Mr. Geppetto had one little boy running around, keeping him. He wanted a real boy, nothing but a bunch of little boys. I think they was all going to Epstein Island. That's me.
I would have never went there. Look, and when you were talking about the donkeys, I actually thought you were talking about the talking jackasses that we got running the government. But
No. That's a whole other conversation right there. But no, like they were prizing like the ones that could talk. You know, oh, you can talk, huh? And I remember watching this like maybe like a year and a half ago. Like I'm sitting here, you know, we got Disney Plus, and me and my wife just went on like this old school Disney kick to where we had like a date night to where we were just sitting watching Disney movies, right? Cool time. I said, yeah, let's watch Pinocchio. And I'm sitting there laying on the couch and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, man, this is deep. You know, like, like this is not what I remember. I just remember entertainment then.
yeah, so
Now I'm seeing current events happening in animation. You know what I mean?
yeah,
You know, because during that time, that was like well, I mean, that topic is still day to day. You hear about stuff
yeah,
like that, but that was, everybody was talking about like Epstein Island and just all the elites and all that kind of stuff. It was everywhere. So it just had me thinking about it. And I was like, this is odd, but
it works.
I can connect some dots here.
Yeah.
And then just Mr. Geppetto's last name, Mr. Geppetto.
All right. So no, I wouldn't have connected that one. But
Just
the the trafficking part I get, because I mean you're luring people in with thoughts and ideas of things that they want, and then they think
yeah,
they're getting everything that they want, but they're not realizing that and a lot of times, in order for you to get what you want, that comes with a price,
exactly.
and you don't ever really know what that price is.
Exactly. You don't really realize it because either they you're already vulnerable, and then they use the right words. And when I say you, I'm just saying you as you, not you individually, but just in general.
Right.
Um, you know, they
Right.
they target, people that can't necessarily think for themselves and always seek approval. That's just kind of what it seems like to me. Now, granted, you have all these date rape drugs and you have all these different things, especially for like the young ladies and stuff, but it's never a kid that's always fighting and gets suspended from school because
Right.
get kidnapped. You see what I'm saying? It's never
Right.
like little bad little Johnny.
Yeah.
It ain't never him.
You
You
know it's
know,
gonna fight back.
yeah. It's never a
Boy,
kid that can.
no,
Yeah. You know, it's never the kid that's like, I ain't finna get in that van. It's stinking there. Like what? Like why you got all this stuff in this van, Mister? Like, like he not finna get that loud kid.
right.
You know, it's
It's always
always
the one that's
somebody
like
taking advantage of a vulnerable.
Andy.
It's always someone that's taking advantage of like a vulnerable child
Yeah.
or a vulnerable adult that's doing those things. And if you look back on that particular cartoon classic, quote unquote, that's how they were, naive kids
Yeah.
that didn't have a clue until it was too late, you know. So that was another movie that really.
So you know what's funny about that movie?
What's that?
I watched it.
You never watched Pinocchio?
Pinocchio.
Well, since we got,
Let me put it to you like this. I've never seen Pinocchio all the way through. I know the premise of Pinocchio, but I've never actually watched the full movie.
I tell you what, I challenge you now after our conversation to just go through, kind of skim through it. You can pick it apart pretty quick, but just watch it, pay attention to it. You'll see what I'm talking about within the first, say, 30 minutes of it. You'll be able to see, You know what I'm talking about? And that's gonna make you want to watch more to really, really see. And then you can see the dots that you can connect with that, you know. But I mean, that was something that was just hidden in plain sight. But a lot of those movies have subliminal messages and, you know, just different things like that that they target a certain kind of audience with, I feel like, you know. Same thing with songs, like how we're talking about. Because going back to Alan Jackson, I would have never known what a grape snow cone and a burger would have been. I thought they were going through
But
Sonic
they
drive-through,
went
like
to
I
the
said.
carnival, or they
Yeah,
went to
yeah, went
drive-in.
to they went to little local bumpers or something,
Yeah.
and with the bumpers, man, and got a biggie bag. That's what I'm thinking. What they did. No, definitely not.
Mm,
So, what's your thoughts on it?
gotta be more careful.
Got
Gotta
to
be
be more
more
careful.
careful.
Yeah. So, what's your thoughts?
You hit some good points. Like I said, I can't really speak too much on Pinocchio because I didn't watch it all the way through. In fact, listening to you describe it, I was like, I'm pretty sure once they got to the island, I was like, I'm out.
Yeah, because it was just, well, I ain't gonna say there was on the island. Like, it was just some land. I guess I'm gonna say it's a piece of land. I don't know if it was, right down the road from where they had all of them at in the first place or what. But that's just what it was, and then like it just really like it was some dark stuff behind it. And I
Yeah,
remember thinking that it was just normal watching it at school or being a kid, because my mom was a teacher. We had it at home, and then knowing about the stories of it, I thought that was normal. But as I got to be older, I'm like, man, yeah,
what's
yeah,
really
nope,
going on?
yeah, nope. My kid's not watching this. You
Okay,
know,
so to transition from that, because of what you saw as an adult, do you see any reason why they should remake Pinocchio, the cartoon that
mhm.
remake it, scrub it, and make it something completely different?
No,
Basically, change its history.
no, I'm not. Because if I feel as if I thought that, then um, I would be trying to change history. I would be trying to, just raise awareness to something and then fuss about something that is really not that important.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say, I don't want to like narrow out a specific group of people or anything like that and be a part of a group. And I'm not trying to do that, but I don't think that that is something that I would think that they should do. Just leave it as is, but just know what you're watching, and parents need to educate them and educate their kids on what they're watching.
Mm-hmm.
You need more parents active in the home,
Mm-hmm.
and then you need more fathers that are going to be active and scouting out different things that they want their child to consume,
Mm-hmm.
um, and then do it on that front. But you can't change a Disney vault. However, there are some people around that feel like they can just hoot and holler, get on social media, whatever platform, and just rant about it for clout. But I'm not one of them, so no.
Well said.
You know,
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way. I mean, it happened. Leave it the way it is and learn from it.
yes, yes. Same thing. Since we're talking about that, you have all of these movies that talk about slavery and the way things were during Jim Crow times and just how all those things happened.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it was there. That was the mindset. But in 2023,
We should.
you are your own person.
Yeah.
You are your own man or woman, and you decide on how your future is going to be. It's nobody's fault but yours.
Mm-hmm.
So, I take part in watching, movies and reading up on documentaries about, say, for instance, the transatlantic slave trade. I like that for one. I'm a history person, so I just want to learn and know. You
Mm.
know, I'll never teach a class on it or anything like that, but I just want to know. You know, just inquiring minds want to know, soak up knowledge, see how they went, because if you look at people, everybody is mixed up. And then the way that the transatlantic slave trade went, it went all through the Caribbean. So you know, you got, you know, Puerto Ricans that are a darker skin.
Mm-hmm.
What that was, you know, they were native Indians that were there during that time, and they just mixed and blended. And then you took some Spanish, you know, from over there, because Spanish people were when you come from overseas. So that's what had everybody all mixed up. You look in Brazil, shoot, man, me and you could pass for a Brazilian. You go to Colombia, me and you could pass for a Colombian. You go to Dominican Republic, me and you could pass for a Dominican.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then that's because they brought everybody from down there up, sugar plantations, different things like that, and then into the United States. But then that's how everybody became mixed up, and it became a power struggle. So if it's a power struggle, who got the biggest, baddest guns, who got the most money, who got the most pull, that's the one that's gonna take over. Facts. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So it's just that's just me. That's how I look at it. You know, Molly, do I think that rewrite history and pay everybody for that? Man, my bloodline's so diluted, I don't even know where mine come from.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I even need it or not.
Dude, and that's gonna be majority of everybody. I
Yeah,
mean, everybody they everybody likes to say that we're in a melting pot, but then nobody really wants to admit that we all melted.
exactly. Yeah, everybody wants to say that, but then when it comes time to it, we want to separate it. But you know, I feel as if you have people that are thinking that way, um, that's not a in in my own opinion, that's not a progressive mindset because you're thinking about the past. You're not going forward.
Mm-hmm.
And then it becomes a woe is me and it's somebody else's fault. I mean, it always comes back to that. It's somebody else's fault as to why I'm not where I need to be. You know, I know and you know, if we don't get up and do what we need to do every single day, then we're failing multiple ways.
Mm-hmm.
So it's on us. And if you don't do what you know you're supposed to do, if I don't do what I knew I was supposed to do that day, I can do nothing but look at myself in the mirror when I brush my teeth at night and look at myself in the mirror when I wake up the next morning and say, okay, well, I'm going to do that and then some, or I'm just not going to do. I'm going to bury my head in the sand,
Yeah.
you know, and that's the mindset I feel like will keep going forward with stuff rather than worrying about the past.
Mm-hmm.
You know, makes sense. What's your thoughts?
No, I have to, pretty much repeat, that sentiment. I mean, you have to know your past in order to avoid making the same mistakes in your future.
Exactly. Know your past, know what's going on.
You can't go
Um,
back and paint over it and say that
mm-mm,
it never happened, and just like, well, this is what it is. Like, no, it's not. I mean, that happened. Let that be what it is. But like you said, here in 2023, that shouldn't still be the same mindset.
no,
And you do have some people who um who know that things were wrong in the past, and they don't want things to go back to the way they were, quote unquote. I
mhm,
had a gentleman when I was working at the dealership, gentleman that I sold a vehicle to, and he and I sat outside and had a long conversation. And he told me a few different things. Like, one of the things he told me, he said he was proud to see me doing what I was doing to take care
mhm,
of my family. He was like, I'm
mhm,
very happy to see you doing this. And he said he also wanted to apologize for the way things were in the past. Not just the past itself. But no. He wasn't just saying I want to apologize for it, because it was an old white man.
Mm-hmm.
He basically said he did some of those things that were wrong back then, but that was the way things were. That was what he was taught to do.
Mm-hmm.
As he got older, he went into the military, and he realized that whether you were, black, you were Asian, whatever was going on, at the end of the day, y'all are all brothers. Y'all are trying to accomplish the same goal, which is to win the fight and
Get
go home
him.
to your family. Yeah, win the fight and go home to your family. And he was like, those were my brothers. And he was like, I was, I was lied to, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Throughout my youth, I was made to believe that that black man over there, wanted to do me harm. That Middle Eastern guy wanted to do me harm. But then I went in the military, and all of these people were here, and none of them was trying to do me any harm. We were all trying to accomplish the same goal.
Mm-hmm.
He that was his testimony, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And so it wasn't just like a blanket statement. He was literally telling me about himself and how he made mistakes in the past, but he got older and now he wants to correct those mistakes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um,
That's, I had a conversation similar to that. Well, not necessarily similar to it, but I was, this was maybe a year or so ago. No, that was another incident. This was when I was in high school, and I was playing baseball, and we were traveling. May have been in Memphis or Germantown, playing in like a weekend tournament, wood bat league, and I had a decent weekend. Um, it was scouts around, so like that. I did okay. Nothing to write home about. Like, ain't like I went 7 for 7 and 7 for 7 with 7 home runs,
right.
something like that. But it's one of those things. Like, the guy was talking, and he said, "Man, you're a good boy right there, man. You sharp, man. Your parents ought to be proud of you." And then he called himself. He was like, "I didn't mean to call you boy like that. Hope you don't think that I'm saying that right there." And this dude was during that time, this was like 2006 or 2005. So he had to be in his 50s or 60s then.
Mm-hmm.
So he would have been around during that time when things were, bad during Jim Crow times. And he immediately, like as soon as he said it, he immediately started trying to say, "No, make sure that, I didn't mean it like that." And it just went straight over my head. I didn't think anything of it. I didn't take no offense to it or anything like that. It, I took it as an elder looking at a bunch of young men, young fellas that were out there. It's a mixed group of kids. We're all out there playing and winning. So I'm looking at it like from that standpoint. But this guy, he said it, and then he called himself and like went out of his way to ensure that that's not what he meant. And it sat with me for a little while then, but from time to time I still think about that, because that's piggybacking off of what you said. They were lied to growing up.
Mm-hmm.
They were conditioned from birth to think and feel that way. Whether it been by some sort of experience or just because their grandparents behaved that way, and so on and so forth. That was taught.
Mm-hmm.
That was something that was taught to them. And then, to me, I see some of them, some, older people, especially in the South, they are trying their best to not think that way and
Yeah.
like reprogram themselves still. So just imagine, like my heart goes out to that. Like if you everything, I mean, think about everything you've been told growing all the way up until you became an adult was a lie to you, and you had to find out like that.
Yeah.
The things that you've said and done because you thought they were right
Yeah.
came out to be wrong, dead wrong. The way you walked, talked, acted, behaved, you were programmed to be to be done like that.
Yeah.
You're programmed to be that kind of person. And then now you're having to reprogram yourself. I compare that to come out of prison.
Yeah.
And getting acclimated back to, just being a civilian.
Yeah.
That's challenging for him. And then for that man to just sit down and talk to you, a complete stranger like that, he had been dealing with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man. And
So that's why I'm not going to be the one that's standing up on a soapbox with a megaphone talking about take this statue down. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to be that person right there, because at the end of the day, get to the root of it. You see what it is, and then you talk to people and you come to common ground rather than just, now this day and age, it sucks to say it, but it's our generation that are doing things like that.
Yeah.
And then trying to rewrite stuff.
Yeah.
So accept it, learn it, know what it is, know how to recognize it, and then know how to have conversations when conversations, make themselves available for them, whether them being understanding conversations or whether you turn a misunderstanding into a understanding, if you catch my drift, or what have you. But I wouldn't try to change any of that, man, because people make mistakes.
Yeah. People make mistakes, and
people make mistakes, and it's just,
you make your mistakes and you learn from them. That's the
yes.
biggest thing.
Yes, I made mistakes, and would I like for my mistakes to be held over my head, or or me be defined by something I've done 20 years ago? Like, that was stuck.
Yeah.
You have to live your entire life still known, no matter wherever you go, you're still known for something you did when you were 17 years old.
Yeah.
Something you said at 17.
Yeah. Hey, man, I mean, you're right. Nobody should have to be judged by their past their entire lives. Now, if you're a repeat offender, obviously, then I'm gonna look at you that way. But that at that point, it's warranted and you deserve it. But I mean, we can talk about this all day. We're gonna always keep swimming down these streams, but
This is true.
I think that's a good time, good place to stop, man. We'll
Okay.
have to do this again, and that's episode 2 in the books.
For sure. For sure.
Later, brother.
All right. Later.